How do you really take the pulse of a nation? I mean, really get a feel for what's going on? Well, we're going to try to do just that. We're going to connect some dots between things like Easter holidays, smart recycling bins, and national championships to build a snapshot of Italy right now. It's a huge question, isn't it? You can scroll through all the headlines, all the social media feeds, but you still kind of feel like you're on the outside looking in. So how do you get a real sense of a country's energy, its mood, its pulse?
Well, that's what we're going to try and do here. Think of this as your cheat sheet. We've pulled together a few key stories from the spring of 2025. And on their own, they might seem totally random, but when you put them all together, they start to tell a single, really fascinating story about what modern Italy is all about.
And that story, it has to begin with the deep, deep rhythms of tradition. We're talking about those cultural habits, those big celebrations that really anchor the entire year and define the season. And first up, of course, is Easter. The sheer scale of the Easter holiday in Italy is just massive. Get a load of this number. 11.3 million. That's how many Italians plan to take a trip. It's a huge slice of the whole country on the move, and over a quarter of them were planning for longer breaks too. And all of that travel, well, it creates a huge economic wave. We're talking almost 4.9 billion euros. But, that number doesn't really paint the full picture. Because for the nearly half of Italians who stayed home, the number one reason, for almost 47% of them, was money. So you've got this story of a huge holiday celebration, but it's happening right alongside some very real economic pressure.
So where were all these people going? I mean, yeah, the classic spots like the coast and the mountains were popular, but the biggest reason for traveling, that's what's really telling. Over 37% were on the road specifically to visit family and friends. It just goes to show you that at its heart, this holiday is all about connection.
And speaking of connection, you absolutely have to know about the Gita fuori porta. It's this treasured tradition on Pasquetta, or Easter Monday. It literally means a trip out of the door, and it's all about just getting outside for a picnic or a big meal in the countryside. It got super popular during the economic boom in the 50s, and it's the perfect example of how a religious day becomes this beloved nationwide ritual. And this idea of traditions changing over time, it pops up again just a few weeks after Easter, on April 21st for Rome's birthday, the Natale di Roma. It's like you can see the layers of history right there. It started as a simple festival for shepherds, then it got turned into a massive imperial party, and finally, after unification, it became a national holiday to connect modern Italy all the way back to its legendary roots. Okay, so from that shared history, let's move to shared values. Because these next couple of stories, they really highlight this powerful spirit of community and, collective pride that's just as big a part of Italy today. Check this out. In the small town of Vercurago, something pretty incredible happened. Out of 158 people who were just renewing their national ID cards, an amazing 138 of them chose to say yes to organ donation. This is just one little local snapshot, but it points to a huge national trend. Italy now has over 15.5 million consents registered. It really says something about a deep and growing sense of solidarity. And talk about national pride, this was a huge moment. For the very first time ever, the Italian team took first place at the European Girls Mathematical Olympiad. Just look at this. 3 gold medals and a silver for Anna, Daria, Giulia, and Matilda. It's an absolutely phenomenal achievement and a really big deal for the growing female Olympiad movement in the country. So this same winning spirit, this sense of achievement, it's also helping to invent the future. Let's shift gears and look at some incredible examples of Italian ingenuity and how it's being used to solve some very, very modern problems.
You know the struggle, right? Standing in front of the recycling bins, trying to remember what goes where, it can be a total headache. But what if the bin could just figure it out for you?
Well, say hello to Huli. It's a made-in-Italy smart bin from a startup in Tuscany, and it's brilliant. You throw something in, and an AI camera recognizes what it is, then automatically drops it into the right container inside. It even pings you when it's full, and get this. The bin itself is built with parts that were 3D printed from recycled wind turbine blades. I mean, that is taking sustainability to a whole new level.
And that same kind of innovative thinking is being aimed at healthcare. Italy's got a lot of mountains and islands, right? So getting urgent medical supplies to remote places is a massive challenge. Drones are quickly becoming the solution. We're seeing these projects with cargo drones that can carry up to 100 kilos, flying blood and medicines straight to isolated villages. It's way faster, cuts down on emissions, and it's just a huge step forward for making healthcare more equal for everyone.
All this forward momentum is also changing the landscape in other ways, too. I'm talking about everything from the property market at home to Italy's cultural footprint on the world stage. So here's a really interesting trend that's picking up steam in the Italian real estate market. It's called nuda proprietà, or bare ownership. So what is it? Okay, picture this. An owner, often someone who's a bit older, sells their property but gets to keep the right to live there for the rest of their life. That right to stay put is called the usufruct. And you can see pretty clearly why this is taking off. It really can be a win-win. The seller gets a lump sum of cash to live on, and they don't have to go through the pain of moving. Meanwhile, the buyer, the investor, gets to pick up a property at a huge discount as a long-term play. It's a super practical solution, and it's getting more and more popular, especially in big cities like Bologna and Rome.
Now, Italy's influence is also expanding way beyond its borders, and it's being done strategically. There's this big push to create a worldwide Italophonia, basically a global community of Italian speakers and fans of the culture. And as the foreign minister Antonio Tajani put it, the Italian language is not only beautiful, it is a tool for national influence, a language of peace and dialogue. It's about using language as a form of soft power to build connections and boost that all-important Made in Italy brand.
Okay, our last section brings this whole thing full circle. We're going to look at two huge anniversaries that just perfectly capture this blend of really deep heritage and modern, forward-looking business. First, we have a milestone that is almost tough to wrap your head around. 500 years. That's how long the iconic Italian liqueur Disaronno has been around. The story goes that the secret recipe was a gift way back in 1525, and now, half a millennium later, it's a global symbol of Italian taste. All right, so you've got 500 years in your head. Now, let's jump forward 450 years from that moment. In 2025, Italy is also celebrating a 50th anniversary, this time for Gardaland, the country's most famous amusement park. It's this constant conversation between the ancient and the modern that really defines the place. And even at 50, Gardaland is not slowing down. It's opening this brand new, massive attraction. It's going to be Europe's longest underground water dark ride. And at the very same time, they're making a huge investment in sustainability with 7,000 new solar panels. It's just a perfect final example of mixing fun and entertainment with a real responsibility for the future. So, from ancient rituals to AI-powered recycling, from math champions to 500-year-old liqueurs, what we've seen is this constant dance, right? A dance between a deep respect for heritage and this relentless push for innovation. And the thought I want to leave you with is this. As these two powerful threads keep weaving together, how are they going to shape the identity and the economy of the Italy of tomorrow?